Every 4 minutes, someone in the world dies from a stroke. And if you're over the age of 40, your personal risk climbs steadily, not because of fate or bad luck, but because of small daily behaviors that add up silently over time. But here's what's surprising. One powerful morning habit, backed by solid science, can cut your risk of stroke by nearly 50%. And no, it's not a medication, a supplement, or a new fitness trend. It's something you can do tomorrow morning without spending a dime. A single behavior shift that sends ripple effects through your brain, blood vessels, and long-term health. You see, stroke isn't just a disease of aging. It's a disease of modern life. Poor sleep, blood sugar swings, inflammation, and underused neural circuits. What's happening in your body each morning sets the stage for either resilience or risk. And your brain, particularly in midlife and beyond, is more sensitive to these early signals than you might realize. The question is, what's the habit? What can you do consistently that actually works? In this episode, we'll break down the neuroscience behind this one simple morning habit that improves blood flow, stabilizes the nervous system, reduces clot risk, and even sharpens cognitive function. We'll explore what the research actually shows, not just headlines or hype. And I'll give you a clear, actionable framework to start today. Here's what we're going to uncover. Why one overlooked part of your nervous system holds the key to reducing stroke risk. How blood pressure behaves in the first 90 minutes of your day, and what to do about it. The brain-heart connection no one talks about, and why it matters more after age 40. A protocol that boosts circulation and neural flexibility in under 10 minutes. How to make this habit stick, even if you're busy or skeptical. And most importantly, how this one shift doesn't just reduce your risk, it improves how you think, feel, and age. So whether you're in your 40s, 50s, or 60s and beyond, this is about taking control of how your brain and body age. And it starts with how you begin your day. Right? This is where you give yourself the most ability, and it gives you the most potential. You give yourself the most potential, and it gives you the most potential. This is where there's a switch in your nervous system that most people never learn to flip. And yet when activated consistently, it can protect your brain, lower your blood pressure, reduce your risk of stroke, and even make you more emotionally resilient. That switch is the vagus nerve, the main communication line between your brain, heart, lungs, and gut. And the first 30 minutes after waking up is the ideal time to stimulate it. So this is the best time. You wake up and you eat. And here's why that matters. When you wake up, your body naturally enters a sympathetic state. Cortisol levels rise, blood pressure increases, and your cardiovascular system prepares to mobilize, even if you're just walking to the kitchen for coffee. This is part of your circadian rhythm. It's healthy in small amounts. But for many adults, especially those in their 40s and beyond, this morning's sympathetic spike becomes exaggerated. And that's where the danger begins. Overactivation of the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight branch, has been strongly linked to vascular damage, increased arterial stiffness, and a higher risk of ischemic stroke. A 2021 paper in the Journal of Clinical Hypertension found that elevated sympathetic tone in the morning was a strong predictor of cardiovascular events, especially in people over age 50. So how do we counteract that? By activating the parasympathetic system, your rest and repair mode, through the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve runs from your brainstem down through your chest and into your gut. Think of it as your body's built-in brake system. When stimulated, it slows your heart rate, relaxes your blood vessels, improves digestive function, and lowers inflammation. All of these are protective against stroke. And the best part, you can activate it naturally within minutes. Here's a simple morning protocol. Cold water on the face or neck, splashing cold water on your face, especially the forehead and cheeks, activates the mammalian dive reflex, which stimulates the vagus nerve and slows your heart rate. For even greater effect, apply a cold pack to the sides of your neck for 30 seconds. This has been shown in studies to increase vagal tone and reduce systolic blood pressure. Humming or chanting, your vocal cords are physically connected to branches of the vagus nerve. Humming for a few minutes, try a simple mum sound or deep can mechanically stimulate vagal tone. In a 2017 study published in Frontiers in Psychology, chanting was shown to increase heart rate variability, a key marker of parasympathetic activity, and reduced stroke risk. Diaphragmatic breathing, one of the most powerful and underused tools. Sit or stand tall, place one hand on your belly, and take slow breaths in through your nose, expanding your abdomen, then exhale longer than you inhale. Aim for 6 breaths per minute. This style of breathing enhances vagal activity, lowers blood pressure, and improves emotional regulation. A 2020 meta-analysis in behavioral medicine confirmed its positive effects on autonomic balance and cardiovascular health. You can do all 3 of these in less than 5 minutes, before breakfast, while standing at the sink, or even before looking at your phone. This isn't just about physical health. When you stimulate the vagus nerve, you're also training your emotional system. You become more grounded, less reactive, and better able to navigate stress. That's because the vagus nerve connects directly to the parts of your brain involved in emotion regulation, like the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. So let me ask you, how do you start your day? If it's with tension, rushing, or checking stressful messages, you're training your nervous system to stay on high alert. But if you start with parasympathetic activation, you're laying the foundation for a day and a brain that's more resilient. Try this protocol tomorrow morning. Just 5 minutes. That's all it takes to start rewiring your nervous system for stroke prevention and deeper well-being. You've probably heard that getting sunlight in the morning is good for you, but what you may not realize is that it's also one of the most powerful and overlooked tools to protect your brain and lower your risk of stroke. Let's start with the why. Your body is governed by a 24-hour internal clock called the circadian rhythm that influences everything from your sleep quality and metabolism to blood pressure, inflammation, and even the elasticity of your arteries. And that deficit of sleep is one of the, and here's what the research shows. Disruption to this rhythm increases stroke risk, particularly in older adults. A study published in Stroke A, a journal by the American Heart Association in 2014, found that people with misaligned circadian rhythms, especially those with irregular sleep-wake times or insufficient morning light exposure, had a significantly higher likelihood of experiencing cardiovascular events, including strokes. That's because your internal clock directly impacts endothelial function, cortisol release, and the timing of inflammatory markers, all of which play roles in vascular health. So what's the fix? Get outside and expose your eyes to natural sunlight within 30 to 60 minutes of waking. This single habit done consistently resets your circadian rhythm, reduces blood pressure, and balances hormones like cortisol and melatonin. It tells your brain it's morning, it's time to regulate blood flow, improve focus, and begin cellular repair cycles at the right time of day. Why does this work so powerfully? Because you have a cluster of neurons behind your eyes in the suprachiasmatic nucleus, SCN, that act like a master clock. These cells are directly connected to the retina and respond to blue light wavelengths, which are naturally present in early morning sunlight. When these cells are stimulated, they send signals throughout the body to coordinate everything from immune function to cardiovascular timing. Without that signal, your body operates out of sync. Cortisol may spike too late or too high. Melatonin may linger, making you groggy. Blood vessels stay constricted longer than they should. And all of this increases the risk of vascular strain, a setup for future stroke risk. So here's a morning light protocol that's both simple and science-backed. Go outside within the first hour after waking. You don't need full sun, even on cloudy days. Outdoor light is 10 to 100 times brighter than indoor lighting and far more effective at stimulating the SCN. Expose your eyes without sunglasses for at least 5 to 10 minutes. Longer if it's overcast. Avoid looking directly at the sun, but allow light into your eyes indirectly through a window isn't enough. The glass filters out important light wavelengths. Pair this with movement if possible. A short walk, some stretching, or even standing in your backyard multiplies the benefits. Movement further boosts circulation and enhances vascular flexibility. Be consistent. The circadian system thrives on regularity. Making this a daily ritual, even on weekends, helps stabilize your autonomic nervous system, reduce inflammation, and regulate blood pressure patterns. Start small. Start small, building up, and then move towards a goal. Consistency keeps us moving forward. Making this a daily ritual, even on weekends, helps stabilize your autonomic nervous system, reduce inflammation, and regulate blood pressure. And then get some sleep. Stay centered, multi-grounded, and if you're thinking, I already go for walks in the afternoon, that's great. But morning light is unique. It sets the master clock. It's the difference between being in sync with your biology or subtly out of tune all day long. This habit also compounds with the vagus nerve activation we discussed earlier. When you align light exposure, movement, and breathing, you're essentially programming your body to enter a low inflammation, high recovery state every single day. It's free, it's easy, and it might just be the most important 5 minutes of your morning. By the way, if this insight is helping you think differently about your brain and body, consider subscribing. We explore science-backed tools like this every week so you can build a healthier, sharper, and more resilient life without the noise or hype. Just grounded, actionable science. Every morning, millions of people wake up and head straight for their coffee maker. It's a ritual, warm, familiar, energizing. But if that cup of coffee is the first thing that enters your system, you may be unknowingly setting the stage for thicker blood, reduced circulation, and a higher risk of stroke. Let's unpack what's going on. After 6 to 8 hours of sleep, your body is naturally slightly dehydrated. You've gone an entire night without fluid intake. But your organs, especially your kidneys, heart, and brain, are still working. The result? A mild reduction in plasma volume and a subtle concentration of red blood cells in your bloodstream. This may not sound like a big deal, but it is. Even mild dehydration causes blood viscosity, thickness, to increase. That means your heart has to pump harder to move blood through your vessels. And your risk of clot formation, especially in small vessels in the brain, goes up. A study published in the journal Stroke in 2015 found that morning is the peak time for ischemic strokes, and researchers believe dehydration plays a critical role in that spike. When your blood is thicker, it's more likely to form clots, especially in combination with elevated morning cortisol, blood pressure, and inactivity. Now, add caffeine to that equation, especially in the form of coffee or tea, is a mild diuretic. And the reason is, it is going to force you to make a faster digestive acids. While it's not as dehydrating as once believed, it can further contribute to fluid loss and increase vasoconstriction, or narrowing of the blood vessels. In a body that's already low on fluid, that combination isn't ideal, particularly for people over the age of 40, when vessel elasticity starts to decline. But there's a simple science-backed fix. Drink 16 to 24 ounces, roughly 5 to 700 mils, of water first thing in the morning before your coffee or tea. This one step can restore blood volume and reduce viscosity, improve cerebral blood flow, reduce the chance of morning headaches or dizziness, lower the risk of clot events like strokes, and it doesn't require any extreme protocol. Here's how to do it. Morning hydration protocol. Keep a water bottle or glass at your bedside. As soon as you wake up, before checking your phone or heading to the kitchen, drink. Make it a habit you don't have to think about. Add a pinch of electrolytes or sea salt, optional, but helpful. Especially for older adults, sodium-potassium balance plays a key role in water absorption and blood pressure regulation. Just a small pinch in your water can improve hydration efficiency. Wait 10-15 minutes before your first caffeinated beverage. This gives your body time to absorb the water and rebalance fluid levels before introducing caffeine. You might be surprised by how quickly this one change can affect your energy levels, clarity, and even your digestion. Many people mistake dehydration for fatigue or fogginess, especially in the morning, and coffee can mask the symptoms while making the underlying issue worse. Hydrating first also enhances the effectiveness of the other morning tools we've discussed, like vagus nerve activation and morning light exposure. Blood that flows well delivers oxygen better. It supports synaptic activity in the brain, reduces endothelial stress, and helps regulate the inflammatory markers that contribute to stroke risk over time. If you're already doing this, excellent. If not, this might be one of the easiest, most high leverage changes you can make, especially if you're in your 40s, 50s, or 60s and want to protect your brain and cardiovascular system long term. Simple doesn't mean unimportant. Often the most powerful tools are the ones hiding in plain sight. There's a hidden lining inside your blood vessels, a thin, intelligent layer called the endothelium. It may not get much attention, but it plays one of the most vital roles in your health, controlling blood pressure, preventing clot formation, and regulating inflammation. In other words, it's one of your first lines of defense against stroke. And the best way to wake it up in the morning? Gentle movement. Let's take a moment to understand why. When you wake up and remain sedentary, lying in bed, sitting for breakfast, checking emails, your cardiovascular system stays in a kind of idle mode. Blood flow is slow, circulation is uneven, and the endothelium doesn't get stimulated. But when you move, even lightly, you send a mechanical signal through the blood vessels that tells the endothelium to release nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a gas molecule your body produces naturally. Its job? To dilate blood vessels, reduce arterial stiffness, and improve blood flow to the brain and organs. It also has anti-inflammatory and anti-clotting properties, both essential for stroke prevention. And here's the kicker. Nitric oxide isn't stored. It's made on demand, triggered by shear stress on the vessel walls. That means your body has to be in motion for it to work. This isn't about doing a full workout or hitting the gym at 6 a.m. The science shows that even low-intensity movement done consistently in the morning can activate your endothelial system. In a 2020 study published in the journal Hypertension, older adults who performed just 10 minutes of light walking or mobility exercises in the morning had better blood pressure profiles throughout the day compared to those who remained sedentary. Here's a simple protocol anyone can follow. Endothelial activation protocol. Under 10 minutes, ideally, after your hydration and light exposure, take a slow 5 to 10 minute walk, even if it's around your house or balcony. Outdoor movement combines physical activity with circadian syncing. Joint circles or gentle mobility work. Roll your shoulders, rotate your ankles and hips, stretch your arms overhead. This improves joint fluid circulation and stimulates vascular flow in often neglected areas. Wall push-ups or chair squats, optional, 1-2 minutes, against gravity, lightly stress your muscles and blood vessels, promoting nitric oxide release without overexertion. Breathe while you move. Sync your breathing to your movement. This compounds the vagal and endothelial benefits, promoting both nervous system and vascular resilience. You might wonder, why not just wait until later in the day to exercise? The answer is rhythm. When you move in the morning, you're programming your vascular system to be more flexible, adaptive, and less reactive to stress throughout the day. You're also lowering your baseline blood pressure, which is a huge win when it comes to long-term stroke prevention. And perhaps most importantly, morning movement helps reduce something known as morning blood pressure surge, a well-documented phenomenon where blood pressure spikes upon waking. If left unchecked, This surge has been directly correlated with increased stroke events, particularly in people over the age of 50. If this is connecting with you and you're starting to see how powerful simple habits can be, consider subscribing. This channel is all about making the science of aging, performance, and mental well-being not just understandable, but actionable. Your body changes with time, but your habits can keep you strong, sharp, and steady. Whether you're in your 40s, 60s, or beyond, morning movement isn't about fitness. It's about sending the right biological signals at the right time. You're telling your body, it's time to function well today. It's time to protect the brain. Even 5 minutes is enough to make a difference. Let's talk about cortisol, a hormone that's often misunderstood. Cortisol isn't inherently bad. In fact, you need it. It helps you wake up, regulate blood sugar, and respond to challenges. But too much cortisol at the wrong time, in the wrong pattern, especially in the morning, becomes a silent threat to your cardiovascular health. And research is clear. Elevated or misaligned morning cortisol is strongly associated with higher blood pressure, systemic inflammation, insulin resistance, and increased stroke risk, especially in people over 40. Now, here's the good news. There's a tool you already have, no equipment, no app, that can help regulate cortisol in less than 60 seconds. It's your breath. What's happening in your brain when you breathe deeply? You shift control from the amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, to the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for decision-making and emotional regulation. You also activate the vagus nerve, which signals your body that it's safe, down-regulating your stress response and lowering heart rate and blood pressure. And this can be done over and over again after you open these journals and records to let the processing go. You also activate the vagus nerve, which signals your body that it's safe, down-regulating your stress response and lowering your process. A 2022 meta-analysis in Frontiers in Psychology found that even 1 minute of slow, controlled breathing significantly reduces cortisol levels and improves autonomic balance. That means better circulation, less vascular strain, and a calmer nervous system, all critical components for stroke prevention. Let's break this into a practical protocol. You can start tomorrow morning. 1. Minimute breathing reset, the morning calm protocol. Ideally after light exposure and hydration. Inhale slowly through your nose for 4 seconds, letting your belly expand. Pause briefly. Exhale through your mouth for 6 to 8 seconds, letting your body relax. Repeat for 6-8 breaths, roughly 1 minute total. The longer exhale is key. It activates the parasympathetic system, especially through vagal tone, and tells your cardiovascular system to relax and widen the blood vessels. This reduces the force against the arterial walls and lowers risk of rupture or clotting. You can enhance this effect by closing your eyes or softening your gaze, humming lightly on the exhale, which adds vagus stimulation, or pairing it with gratitude, which shifts brain chemistry in your favor even more. Why does this matter so much in the morning? Because that's when cortisol is meant to peak. The body naturally releases more cortisol in the first hour after waking, but if you're waking up late, checking messages, drinking coffee on an empty stomach, or skipping light exposure, that cortisol spike can become excessive or delayed, creating a mismatch in your circadian rhythm. And here's where the danger lies. Repeated dysregulation leads to chronic high cortisol, which stiffens arteries, disrupts insulin, and keeps the brain in a low-level threat mode, increasing the risk of both stroke and cognitive decline over time. This is why even 1 minute of conscious breathing can be so powerful. It's not meditation. It's not spiritual. It's biological. It's your way of setting the tone for your entire nervous system, like calibrating a compass before a journey. And it stacks beautifully with everything we've covered so far: light exposure, hydration, light movement, and vagus nerve activation. These aren't random tips. Together, they're a system, a neurological and cardiovascular reset you can use every morning. You don't have to be perfect, but you do have to be consistent. And you might be surprised how fast your body responds. Most people report feeling calmer, clearer, and more centered after just a few days of this habit. 1 minute. You've now got a powerful morning protocol: light exposure, hydration, movement, vagus activation, breathwork, all backed by research and designed to protect your brain and vascular system. But here's the real challenge. Will you actually do it consistently? Because let's be honest, information doesn't change behavior, systems do. And if you don't create one, even the best intentions fade. The brain is wired for efficiency. It sticks to what's familiar, not necessarily what's best. So how do we make this protocol stick? We use one of the most effective neuroscience-backed tools in behavioral psychology: habit stacking, anchored to an existing behavior. Here's how it works. Your brain is constantly scanning for patterns. When a new habit is linked to something you're already doing, like brushing your teeth, boiling water, or checking your phone, it becomes neurologically easier to remember and perform. Over time, this repeated pairing forms a cue routine reward loop in your basal ganglia, the part of the brain responsible for habit memory. B.J. Fogg, a behavior scientist at Stanford, coined this in his Tiny Habits method. And it works especially well for morning routines, because those are often repetitive and predictable, which gives you more chances to anchor new behaviors. Let's build a stack using the tools we've discussed. Stroke resilient morning stack. Total time, 10 minutes. Anchor. As soon as you turn off your alarm or sit up in bed, drink a glass of water pre-placed on your nightstand the night before. Anchor. After you go to the bathroom or open the curtains, step outside or near an open window for 5-10 minutes of morning light. Anchor. While waiting for your coffee or tea to brew, do gentle movement, a few stretches, shoulder rolls, or a short indoor walk. Anchor. As you take your first sip of coffee, practice 1 minute of slow nasal breathing with long exhales. Bonus stack. As you get dressed or brush your teeth, hum or chant softly to activate the vagus nerve. These are tiny moments, but they build momentum, and over time, they rewire your brain to associate mornings not with stress or rushing, but with regulation, clarity, and protection. And there's one more element that strengthens this: identity anchoring. Instead of thinking, I need to do these steps to avoid a stroke, reframe it to, I'm the kind of person who protects their brain every day. Why does this matter? Because identity-driven habits are stickier than outcome-driven habits. When your actions reinforce who you believe you are, healthy, proactive, high-performing, the motivation comes from within. It's not about willpower. It's about alignment. So if you see someone who, despite all the external stuff, has this high level and if you miss a day, no guilt. Just return the next morning. Habits are built in the aggregate, not in perfection. You might find that one of these steps becomes your anchor. Maybe it's light or hydration or breathing. That's your entry point. Once it's stable, the others fall into place more naturally. You're not just reducing your stroke risk, you're building a nervous system that's adaptable, stable, and sharp one morning at a time. Let's take a breath and step back. You've just learned a complete science-backed protocol, one that takes less than 10 to 15 minutes each morning, yet can radically lower your risk of stroke, improve your focus, regulate your mood, and strengthen your entire cardiovascular and nervous system. But this isn't about checking off a to-do list. This is about taking ownership of how your brain and body age and recognizing that even in your 40s, 50s, 60s, or beyond, you are not powerless to decline. You are, in fact, more influential than you've been led to believe, especially when you act early in the day. Let's quickly recap what you've learned. First, you activated your vagus nerve, your internal brake system, with breath, cold, or humming. This helped lower blood pressure and rewire your stress response. Then you aligned your brain's circadian rhythm with early sunlight, signaling your body to balance hormones, stabilize energy, and support vascular timing. You restored blood flow and reduced clot risk by hydrating before caffeine, counteracting the silent dehydration that affects so many people after sleep. You boosted nitric oxide and endothelial health with light movement, signaling your arteries to dilate and your brain to perform. You calmed cortisol with 1 minute of controlled breathing, anchoring yourself before the stress of the day even begins. And finally, you learned to stack these habits into your life using behavioral science so they don't just sound good, they actually happen. All of this is simple, but it's not small. The compounding effect of these behaviors, repeated day after day, doesn't just lower your stroke risk. It makes you sharper, calmer, stronger, more present, more alive. That's the real reward. Not just avoiding disease, but living with clarity and control. Because in the end, your morning is not just a routine. It's a message, a signal to your cells, your brain, and your future self. When you start your day with intention, you shape your biology. When you protect your brain, you protect everything, your thoughts, your memories, your relationships, your life. So here's your challenge. Try this tomorrow morning. Just one piece of it. Maybe it's a glass of water, or 2 minutes outside in the sun, or a single deep breath before the rush begins. Let that be your anchor. Let that be the moment you reclaim your morning and your health. And if you found this helpful, I invite you to like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe. Not just for the algorithm, but to keep learning, growing, and applying tools that help you stay strong, focused, and fully present in this one life. There's more to come, from brain science to habit change to longevity and performance. This channel is here to support your journey. But now, it starts with you, with a breath, with a walk, with a glass of water, and the decision to lead your body, not follow it.